It all started on a crisp December morning when I was climbing a ladder to hang a string of red and green lights across my front porch. My 7-year-old daughter stood below me, holding a plastic candy cane decoration, humming Jingle Bells, with the pure excitement only a child can bring to the holiday season. The air smelled like pine and cinnamon, and the whole neighborhood was just beginning to wake up with soft sunlight brushing the rooftops. That's when I heard it. The voice that could turn joy into judgment in seconds. "Excuse me, that's against the HOA rules." I paused and turned my head, already knowing who it was. Karen. Every neighborhood has one, but ours had the queen of them. The self-appointed HOA watchdog, clipboard in hand, walking like she owned every driveway and mailbox. She marched toward me, her sneakers crunching against the frosted sidewalk, holding up a laminated HOA newsletter like it was a royal decree. "Holiday decorations before December 15th are strictly prohibited," she snapped, narrowing her eyes at the candy cane in my daughter's tiny hands. I tried to smile and explain gently, "It's just lights for my daughter. She loves Christmas more than anything." But Karen wasn't moved. "You'll be fined $250 every single day," she said, emphasizing each word like she was handing down a sentence. My daughter's smile disappeared instantly, her small shoulders slumping as she looked up at me with disappointment. I felt my chest tighten. I didn't want to fight, especially over lights, but this wasn't just about decorations. It was about our family's joy, about my daughter's excitement and holiday spirit. That's when I decided, if Karen wanted to play the Grinch, I'd show her how the real magic of Christmas works. No way was I letting her ruin the season for my daughter or the rest of the neighborhood, not this year. Later that same day, just hours after our confrontation, Karen took things to a whole new level. She sent out a mass email to the entire neighborhood titled, in all caps, "Christmas decorations banned until Dec 15, strictly enforced." The subject line alone felt like a military command, but she didn't stop there. Oh no, she even attached 3 close-up photos of my house like I was some kind of criminal. One of the pictures zoomed in on a single string of lights wrapped around my porch railing, and another showed my daughter's little plastic candy cane lying harmlessly by the front step. How petty could one person be? It felt like a direct attack, and it worked. By the next morning, the once cheerful neighborhood looked gloomier. People were confused, afraid. Some neighbors started nervously pulling down their decorations, quietly removing wreaths from doors and wrapping up extension cords. You could see it in their eyes. They didn't want trouble with the HOA, especially with Karen stalking the streets like a joy-hating holiday police officer. She wasn't even subtle about it. For days, she roamed the sidewalks in her fleece jacket with a clipboard and phone in hand, knocking on doors and pointing at bushes lit with fairy lights. She even warned the Millers about their tiny ceramic snowman that wasn't even lit up. But the most outrageous moment was when she caught the Johnsons red-handed. They had started secretly putting up lights at night, just trying to keep their kids happy. But Karen, in full Grinch mode, stood outside their home at 6 a.m. the next morning, taking pictures and emailing them with a formal violation notice. It was madness. My daughter, now feeling confused and sad, looked up at me one night and asked, "Daddy, why does Karen hate Christmas so much?" I didn't have an answer. But in that moment, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't backing down. I wouldn't let one bitter neighbor steal the spirit of the season from my family or my community. Karen had declared war on Christmas, and I was ready to fight back. That evening, as the chilly wind whispered through the silent, undecorated streets, a few of us gathered in my garage, sipping hot cocoa and shaking our heads at how ridiculous things had become. We were tired of walking on eggshells, tired of one woman turning our festive neighborhood into a holiday ghost town. That's when the spark hit me, like a bolt of Christmas lightning. I looked around at my neighbors and said, what if we all decorate, but together? Not just a few lights here and there, I mean really go big, like the kind of big that makes people stop their cars and take videos. The room went quiet for a moment, and then smiles slowly crept across everyone's faces. It was like we were all little kids again, plotting the most epic prank of all time, but this time it wasn't about mischief. It was about reclaiming our joy. That very night, we started planning. We met quietly every evening in different garages and basements, texting each other only with coded emojis so Karen wouldn't catch on. We pulled out ladders, dusted off old light boxes, swapped extension cords and timers like we were trading treasure. One neighbor, Steve, used to work in theater and offered to program a full lighting sequence. Emma, from 2 doors down, brought out her late grandfather's antique reindeer sleigh and fixed it up with glowing LEDs. Someone else had a portable generator we could share, and I remembered I still had an FM transmitter from an old DIY radio project. That's when we decided we'd create a synchronized light show set to music that people could tune into from their cars. We'd line the street from end to end with lights, colors, and animated displays that danced to the beat of holiday songs. Every single detail was planned with care and teamwork. We laughed more during that week than we had all year. The excitement was electric, the camaraderie even stronger. It wasn't just about decorations anymore. It was about taking our joy back. And deep down, we all knew Karen wouldn't see this coming. Finally, the big night arrived. December 10th, 7 p.m. sharp. We had rehearsed it like a Broadway performance. Every single bulb, wire, and extension cord was ready. Every decoration was in its place, and every neighbor had their role. As the clock ticked closer, the street went eerily silent. Lights across the block were deliberately turned off all at once, plunging our homes into darkness. Curious eyes peeked through windows. Karen, right on cue, stepped out from her porch, arms crossed and phone in hand, clearly sensing something was up. Then boom. In a flash, the entire street erupted in a blaze of color and music. Every house lit up in perfect sync to Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You." It was magical. Inflatable snowmen bounced as if dancing. LED candy canes blinked in rhythm. One neighbor even used projection mapping to make Santa appear to fly across their garage door, waving and winking. The show had begun, and it was glorious. People from nearby blocks started arriving, headlights off, parking along the curb just to see the spectacle. Kids danced on sidewalks, parents laughed. Some neighbors brought out trays of cookies and thermoses full of hot chocolate. Phones were out everywhere, recording every second. It felt like we were in a Hallmark movie, only way better, because we made it ourselves. Karen stood in the middle of her lawn, completely stunned. She tried yelling, pointing fingers, waving her phone like a sword, probably calling every HOA contact in her phone. But no one cared. No one stopped. The spirit had taken over. Everyone was smiling, shoulder to shoulder, wrapped in blankets, holiday sweaters, and cheer. Just when we thought it couldn't get better, the HOA president himself walked in, looked around, and burst into laughter. He didn't stop us. He didn't fine anyone. In fact, he clapped. Karen's power melted like snow on a sunny day. That moment sealed it. We had won. Not with anger or defiance, but with joy, unity, and more lights than Karen could ever handle. The next morning, Karen launched what she clearly believed was her final and most powerful counterattack. She didn't just complain casually, she went all out. She filed official noise complaints with the city, emailed the homeowners association at least a dozen times, and even went so far as to document so-called light pollution violations by measuring the brightness levels with some app on her phone. She claimed the decorations were obstructing traffic, endangering safety, disturbing the peace, and setting a bad precedent for the neighborhood. But the tide had turned. The HOA board, who had witnessed the incredible joy and unity that the light show had brought to the community, were no longer on her side. They quickly called an emergency meeting, not to punish anyone, but to formally discuss what had become a highlight of the season for so many families. After a brief discussion and a surprising amount of laughter, the board took a vote and passed a new rule. Holiday decorations permitted from December 1st onward. It was a game-changing moment. Karen was in the room when the decision was announced, and the look on her face was unforgettable. She stood up abruptly, muttered something under her breath, and stormed out of the meeting room without saying a word. Meanwhile, our neighborhood had become a local celebrity overnight. A local news station sent a reporter to cover the story of "The Street That Beat the Grinch," and we were featured on the 6 o'clock segment. My daughter appeared on camera, proudly standing in front of our house, smiling with her hands in her coat pockets while twinkling lights blinked behind her. For her, and for many of us, it was a memory we'll never forget. As for Karen, she hasn't spoken a single word to me since that day. Not a wave, not a smile, just silence. But I still see her. Every evening when our lights turn on, her curtains twitch just slightly. I know she's watching. And honestly, I think deep down, despite all her protests and rules, even she has begun to enjoy a little bit of that Christmas magic. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Unfair Stories. Because here, we tell the stories the world wants to hide.